Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video there is a new best lone gaze team. So if you have a Phraesto, you're going to be in luck. And honestly, I think even if you have one copy of Phraesto, I would give the team a try because it is heavily outperforming the non-Phraesto teams. After doing a couple of attempts with the new formation positioning that Daragon came up with, this managed to get over 60 billion. So the credit goes to Daragon, of course. He came up with the positioning of this team, so big thank you to him. Basically, if you take a look at the damage chart, you're going to be like, what is Smokey doing to be dealing over 18 billion damage? And I don't even have a plus 15 exclusive equipment Smokey, in which case probably this would be hitting over 20 billion. But you have a lot of buffs for him. You have the attack buff from Reinier's magic charms. You have the resonating spell on the Smokey. So when he casts ultimate, he gets an attack buff. You have the Honor Arena from Mikola. You have the Shakir Lupine's aura to give him an attack buff. And just to talk a little bit more about the investment required onto these heroes, like I mentioned, I think if you had Phraesto even at one copy, I would give this team a try. Even if you have Mikola at one copy, I would give this team a try because Mikola at one copy basically is going to do her job, give you the Honor Arena for the attack buff, and she would also provide her haste buff for your team. The combat fury damage will be not there, of course. You'll be missing out on that. However, the other damage sources are going to be there. Smokey needs to be at Mythic Plus. Like, that is really important for his damage output. Reinier, honestly, I think this is one boss where you wouldn't even need the Reinier at Mythic Plus. Obviously, that is going to improve your damage output, but let's just think about it. So what is the advantage of Reinier at Mythic Plus? He causes the boss to take increased damage, right? He has that effect debuff. Now, this is not going to affect HP per second damage. So Smokey's damage, as well as Phraesto's Vicious Sting damage, which are the major damage sources of your team, are not going to be affected by this debuff of Reinier. And so even if he's not at Mythic Plus, Phraesto and Smokey should be dealing the similar amount of damage. It will affect Shakir's and Mikola's damage, so overall your damage is going to be lower. However, not by that much. So I think overall, Reinier can really work because mainly what you're using him for here are the attack charms onto Smokey to ramp up his damage. Give him the position swap. So that he can be in the front line and be buffed up by Shakir's Lupine's aura. And finally, also enable him to run Resonating Spell to increase his damage further with the attack buff when he casts his ultimate. Because if you had Smokey in the frontline position, you'd not be able to give him the Resonating Spell. So I think Reinier can work even at lower Ascension, but you want Shakir at plus 10, Mythic plus 10, and you want Smokey at Mythic plus. And then the other heroes, of course, if you can get them higher, it'll be good, but I think they could really work at lower Ascension. So I think you should give this team a shot, even if you're missing out on some heroes, because we're going to go through it later on in the video. Teams which don't have any Phraesto, don't have any Reinier. However, those teams get a lot lower damage. So I think this team is worth a shot, even if you're missing out on Ascension on some of the key heroes here. So the RNG I think of this team though is that you want for the whole blue aura duration of Smokey for Shakir to be in range and in Lupine's aura to be buffing up the Smokey with the maximum attack buff. I think that is the key to enabling this damage, because if you look at some of my other runs, for example, I did the same formation and Smokey ended up dealing less. Otherwise, the team ended up contributing the same amount of damage, and I think it was all just due to the fact that Shakir may have missed out on some buffs onto the Smokey for some duration of his blue aura. So that's basically the thing. You're gonna have to do enough runs until you get good RNG of your fight. So here's the team, but I definitely think this is the optimal positioning. Reinier is left off in the back, and eventually he is going to die, but there's nothing you can do about that. Reinier is bound to die unless you have like a soul pact, and you can't afford to be running Thorn in this team. The team is way too optimized for that. And the other thing about Reinier dying is it doesn't even do anything, because the thing about Reinier dying or heroes dying in Lone Gaze is it gives the boss's defense. It gives him a 20% boost to his physical and magical defense, which is important if your heroes rely on damage that can be reduced by defenses. But here our team is relying on Phraestos mainly, and then Smokey's blue aura. All of these things deal HP per second damage, so whether the boss has high defenses or not, you're cutting through the defenses. The defenses don't even come into play. And so that is why they have less of an impact in Endless when you're using Phraesto as your major damage dealer. Now, of course, if you're using something like Odie, then it's really important you don't have anyone die, because that's going to reduce your damage output. But here, it doesn't really change much. He basically would only reduce Mikola's and Shakira's damage output by a little bit, but they're not major damage dealers anyway. So overall, this was the team. This is how we got like our maximum score, and you can try with the same formation. Even if you have one copy of Phraesto, I would give it a try, and definitely if you have Legendary Plus or above Phraesto, he's totally runnable in all of the top performing comps. And guys, I wanted to show another team formation with Lily May and no Shakira, for example, that you can give a shot. This might be better for you if you have, like, for example, a Shakira not at plus 10 exclusive equipment, or maybe even like lower ascension Phraesto, maybe this would be better. Okay, so you have the Verdant spell to increase Lily May's damage because it gives her penetration. I believe the main Phraesto, let's just watch the replay here. I think the main Phraesto is in front of the Smokey, yeah, an illusion in front of the Reinier. So everyone is again going to be all grouped up in the front, and Lily May is going to be dealing a major amount of damage in this team. And so if you have Lily May built up at Mythic Plus or above, this is going to be a good team option for you to try. It still has a Smokey type damage combo with Smokey blue aura dealing a lot of damage with the Reinier position swap, but not going to be hitting nearly as hard because it's not all about buffing up the Smokey with like the Shakira buffs and things like that. So I think this is a good team for you to try as well if you don't have Phraesto at a high ascension. Maybe this will be better for you. And Reinier is pretty important though at Mythic Plus for this team because he's going to increase Lily May's damage as well. So like we mentioned, for the HP per second damage dealers like Vicious Sting of Phraesto, Smokey's Blue Aura, that will not be affected really by the debuff of Reinier, but for Lily May's damage it is going to be affected by Rainier's debuff. And so that is important. Mikola can work even at one copy in this comp, like we mentioned. She can pretty much do her job. So there's another great team that you can try. But basically, we have the optimal Shakira team, which was the first one. And then we have this one, which is if you don't have Shakira built, or for whatever reason, if you want to give it a try and it does better, then this is something you can stick to, maybe with a lower ascension Phraesto. Now, I did a lot of team testing for no Phraesto teams, and it's really sad news. For Lone Gaze without Phraesto, your options are not looking great. The team which managed to get the highest score for me, I'm going to show you that, is 42.6 billion, and this was the formation. Resonating spell on Odie, because he's your major damage dealer. If you take a look here, over 22 billion damage. And then you have Thorn Soul Pact Reinier, because Reinier is going to position swap Odie to the front. Reinier is going to be the backline ally. You need to keep him alive because, like we mentioned, the Reinier dying is going to give the boss 20% boost to his physical and magical defense. Just to show it to you, can we see the Lone Gaze skills? I'm going to show you so that maybe if you're confused about it, but here. Gains the stab boost when defeating, gains 20 haste and 20% physical and magical defense. Upon defeating an enemy hero, it can stack up to 5 times. And that is exactly the reason why if your heroes depend on if your heroes are reducing their damage by enemy defenses, then you need to have everyone survive. Otherwise, your damage output is going to be lower. So that's why Thorn is here. Sylvina, she deals some additional damage. I don't fully understand why Sylvina does so well. I think she burst the boss a bit at the beginning of the match. Because when I try Lily May in like the same sort of team, it does worse than just running Sylvina in that slot. So just use Odie as your dedicated damage dealer, Sylvina just for some bonus damage on top of that, and then have your Thorn Soul Pact the Reinier in this position, and Reinier will be safe from the damage of the boss. Smokey still gets off good damage, but of course nothing comparable to the previous run. Like I think here he does under 10 billion damage, and that's because you don't have Shakira buffing up with attack buff, you don't have Mikola buffing up with Honor Arena, you don't have Resonating Spell on the Smokey, so like it's just not, he's not going to be able to reach those high damage numbers as he does in the other comp because you have all the buffs for him. And really solid score, 42.6 billion, but if you look at the difference, 60 billion compared to 42.6 billion, it's like an 18 billion damage difference, and that is why I think even if you had one copy of Phraesto, it's probably better for you to just run that other team. Like I think you would still be beating this score, but this is an option if you have no Phraesto at all. Now, if you have no Reinier at all and no Phraesto at all, then the best team I was able to find was this one with Lily May. Resonating Spell again on the Odie, or you can try, if you don't have Lily May, you can run it with Sylvina. And this got 1 billion damage less than the Lily May team. So let's take a look at the replay of the Lily May team. And Resonating Spell on the OD because he's your major damage dealer. He's off in the back, and so Soul Pact is going to protect him and keep him alive. He's going to be at no risk of dying to the boss. And like we mentioned, if you're running OD as a damage dealer, even Lily May, you will want to have the boss to have lower defenses because they are not going to ignore all of the defenses of the boss. Lily May does with her true damage, however with her other skills and normal attacks, which are non-true damage based, they are going to be affected by the enemy's defenses. And definitely Odie, his damage is totally related to the defenses of the boss. Now, people have tried Arcane Spell in teams like this. However, I found Resonating Spell on Odie just to be a better carry artifact. It powers up Odie's damage more than Arcane Spell is contributing to your team. So, yeah, but maybe with Lily May, it's arguable. Maybe you could even try Verdant Spell. You could mix around the artifacts. But basically, these are some good baseline team formations you can try. But definitely, I would highly recommend running the Phraesto team, even if your Phraesto is not really well built, even with a few copies. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Good luck getting a high score in the Lone Gaze boss. And big credit to Daragon for coming up with this team, breaking my old record in half, like by over 3.5 billion damage. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. That's gonna be it for this one. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.